This episode is sponsored by Aura, a unique company that I'm going to tell you about in just a few minutes. So on today's episode, we have Catharine calling in from Wisconsin. How you doing, Catharine?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So what can I help you with?
So we're supposed to, as Christians, surround ourselves with people that are better than us, and so that we can grow. And I'm just curious, if you do that really well and you're surrounded by a bunch of girls that are better than you in every way, how will I ever get chosen by someone if I'm surrounding myself with people that are better than me?
The solution is to surround yourself with people who are worse than you, Catharine. What you need to do is play the one-up game and beat everyone out. So make sure, no, I'm just kidding, obviously. Explain more to me, though. You said better than you in every way. You think all your friends are more physically more beautiful, more intellectual, more spiritually mature, just better than you. Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
Huh.
And what if that was actually true, though?
Well, it's a good question. I see what you're getting at, and I think there's kind of two ways to attack this or answer this problem. I would say that the first thing you would want to do is just challenge that idea in general. And I'll give you another answer because I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying. I do have an answer to the heart of your question. But I think the first thing you would want to do is just reevaluate your value system. It seems like you're assessing people by their skills, on their outward abilities. And I think each person is genuinely unique, made in the image of God, and thus God loves something unique about all of us. So I don't think there's this scale in God's eyes of who's better or worse based upon how good they are at things they do on earth. So,
yeah.
I would just try to go back to the scriptures and study the love of God and remember why he loves you. And this kind of comes to the practical side to answer your question. So I would challenge this idea of, first off, of everyone's better than me. That's not true. Not everyone's better than you in every way. But on a worldly perspective, I get what you're saying, because in a way, that is true. Think about a time where a company you trusted had a major data breach, and then your information was all over the internet. How did you feel? What actions did you have to take? Unfortunately, even if you haven't already experienced some form of identity theft, that's probably something you're going to have to deal with at some point in life, just because that's the day and age we live in. I remember when Bethany and I's data was leaked online, I had this sinking feeling in my stomach. I felt helpless. I really didn't know what to do. Just last year, the National Public Data Company had a major breach where over 2.9 billion people's information was compromised and leaked online. Valuable information like their full names, addresses, and worst of all, their social security numbers. This is why we all need some form of protection when it comes to the dark web and online identity theft. And that's where the sponsor of this video can really help you. The company is called Aura. They are a leader in helping people protect their online identity. They monitor billions of data points to make sure your personal information, including your social security number, isn't online somewhere where it's not supposed to be. And every adult gets $1 million in insurance coverage for eligible losses. You can have up to 5 adults on the plan. So that's up to $5 million in coverage. And Aura has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lastly, best of all, Aura gives you 2 free weeks to try out all of their features. So just click the link in the description of this video if this is something you know you need to do. If you've been putting it off, you know you need some form of online protection, this is an easy way to just check that box, move on in life. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Click aura.com/AGW in the description. Thanks, Aura, for being a sponsor of the AGW show. I mean, there's always someone better than us in some way if we look at it from an earthly perspective. Like, I love sports. I played sports my whole life when I was younger, and I still like to just do things as a hobby. And I have an addictive personality too, so I always get into something like really deep. Like, okay, if I'm going to play basketball, I want to be the best at basketball. And what I've learned over the years is that there is always someone better than me, no matter how good I get. And even when you go to the top echelon, just to stick with the example, there's a best basketball player in the world always, but that person's always changing because they get older, the game changes, someone better comes, they get injured. And so there is always someone better than us eventually if we're going to look at it from that worldly perspective. So I say that because that's really not the standard of why we love each other. So I think a good example would be like, try to think of yourself as a parent. So I have 2 kids, and I don't love them so much because they're better than other kids at stuff. I love them because they're my kids. They're mine. Yeah. And so I have a greater effect. Like all kids deserve all the love in the world. I'm not, I would treat them all equally if they were in need. But when it comes to affection, obviously a parent has greater affection for their child. And that's not because their child is literally more valuable than other children. It's because they're my children. And so that's the way love works too when it comes to marriage. When you meet somebody and God starts, mingling your hearts together and you become a couple and then you choose to get married, you're choosing to say, you're my spouse and I'm going to love you more than everyone else because you're mine, not because you're going to perform better than everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just like how would that happen if you're surrounded by people that are always like better than you? Like how would you ever get chosen?
I think another good principle is to look at the scriptures in, for example, in Luke 6:31. This is the golden rule. Jesus says, "And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them." So let me ask you this: is that how you view men? Is that how you would view it and say, well, I would only choose a man because he's better than the other guys I have?
No.
Right. So, you have this, I think you just have this idea that every guy in the world is a worldly guy. And most guys in the world are worldly guys. And most women in the world are worldly women. And what that means is they do have that standard you're talking about. It is a worldly, carnal, who can beat who to win the best person, quote unquote, best. And what we do as Christians is say that's a false lie from Satan. And that's not how God has wired humans. We have value and we love each other because God's put our love in us to give to others. And when you connect with somebody, it's not about them being better or worse than others. It's about it being the right person for you. So it's not about this, like, you can't just have this hierarchy scale of, well, she's a 7, I'm a 7, so we would be great together. It's Catharine needs to meet the right guy God's designed for her, and you guys are going to want to be with just each other, and no one else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.